Hey there, welcome to this episode. We're going to take a look at how to bring audio into the MPC. This is part one where we look at the physical unit, hardware, cables, audio interfaces, turntable preamp, stuff like that. And in the next episode, we'll look at what happens once the audio reaches the MPC, how you open your sampler, set your thresholds, and then you can begin sampling. Now, you can sample pretty much anything these days, but let's look at the basics. Because there are so many MPC models in this current lineup, we have to speak generally, but they will all have at least one set of stereo inputs, typically 1/4-inch jacks. So for your basic sampling needs, if you've got anything that has like a headphone output, something like an iPhone, could be an old Casio synthesizer, anything that has a headphone port, that's really simple. It's just a cable. You could pick it up from a music store, from Amazon, probably less than £10, 3.5mm to 1/4-inch jacks, plug it in, set your levels, and away you go. It only gets more complex when we look at some of the other forms of sampling. One of those might be live instruments, so something that's mic'd up like a drum kit, maybe even a vocalist, something else that requires probably an audio interface in between. The good news is that with the MPC, you can just plug an audio interface straight into it. They all have at least one USB port on the back for plugging such devices in. And what I've done is I've plugged one in for a second. This is just a little cheap one. It's a Behringer UCA 222. It's got some phono inputs and outputs. It's one that I use quite often, probably about £15 online. There's a couple of different flavors, but the audio quality is okay. And if you need just some RCA inputs, it's pretty good. That is currently plugged into the USB port. I just want to show you on the MPC for a second that if we move over to our preferences and we go to audio device, currently it's using the internal audio devices, so these inputs and outputs. But if I move over to here and we double click this and open it up or tap on the encoder, you will notice it's listed here as the audio interface. So I could swap out to this particular interface, and anything that you've got plugged in, as long as it's class compliant and it works with the MPC, you're going to see it in the list that's here. So let's close that down for a second. That's another way to bring audio in if you need multiple inputs and outputs, because I've got this one here that I was using a while back. It's old now, but it's just a Roland one. It's got a bunch of inputs and outputs, and it could be anything. It could be something that's got a lot of inputs and outputs for miking up a drum kit or something. You got multiple mics. You can use an audio interface to bring that audio into the MPC. The other reason it gets a little tricky is if you want to get into turntable stuff, so recording from vinyl. If you have a little portable turntable, one of these USB-powered ones, they're generally okay. They're usually kind of preamped, and you can actually, sometimes, it depends on the model, you can plug the USB direct into the MPC and use that to send audio and record. Pretty simple. It will show up here on your list. The other time that it gets more complicated is because you might have a stereo like hi-fi turntable or a DJ turntable that requires either a mixer or an amplifier in order to boost the signal. Now, this MPC Live 1 is pretty old. It's actually the oldest in the range, but what it does have is a separate set of RCA inputs that act as a turntable preamp. We know that because there's a little switch on the back. It tells us, but also we've got a grounding post, which means you can actually ground your turntable. Most turntables have like a grounding cable that needs to be screwed to something in order to stop any like hum and buzz, that type of thing. If you don't have that, let's say you've got an MPC 1 and you just have the basic 2 1/4-inch jacks to bring your sound in, you're going to need something like this, which is a little turntable preamp. If you don't have a mixer or an amplifier, you just have the turntable and you want to come straight in. This little phono preamp is cheap, again, from Amazon, about 15 quid. And all you do is you plug your turntable into one side, the input, it's got a grounding post on it, and then through the output, you would plug that into the MPC. So you need a couple of cables to get it in, typical phono RCA cables. And then once it's plugged in, it's going to boost the signal for your turntable, and you're going to be just fine. You'll be able to record and do it like that. So there are multiple ways to bring sound into the MPC, and it's only going to change depending on your particular needs. What do you want to sample from? It only gets a little bit tricky, as I say, if you want to use a turntable, you're using vocalist with a microphone, a live drum kit, something like that. You might need the audio interface. But really, that's how you do it. I'll see you guys in the next episode.